Hey everybody, welcome to this month's Missing Chapters. We're very excited you are here. Thanks for joining us. For those of you who are new to Missing Chapters, this is a series that we do every other month to really talk about and explore real world insights that HR leaders need, business leaders need, but don't always find it in the handbook. Or didn't study it in school. And so, whether you're just starting out in HR or you've been in HR for decades, our goal really here is to create really fun conversations that make you feel seen, supported, and set you up for exploring a topic that isn't always gets talked about. So that's why we're very excited to have Ariel here to walk us through this particular topic about well-being. But before I get into that, just a little bit about Nava and who we are. If you're not familiar with Nava, we are a modern benefits brokerage, really on a mission to fix healthcare by providing high affordable healthcare that's more accessible, starting with the 160 million Americans who rely on sponsored, employee sponsored plans. And so we work with HR leaders to design better benefit strategies that actually serve your people and your bottom line, which is also really crucial as business leaders. And so I'm really excited to introduce Ariel today because Ariel is a coach, a fitness, nutrition expert, and she is doing a lot in the space around employee well-being. And that's really important to us because if your employees are happy, your bottom line and everything's working a little bit better if your employees are well taken care of. And so, Ariel, thank you so much for being here. So excited you're here. Do you want to just do a quick intro on you? I know you work with CEOs and executive teams, and you really just help us reimagine the employee well-being space. But I'll let you speak in your own words too, and then we can jump into our conversation.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really thrilled to be here today with you all. So I am a fitness and nutrition expert, and I mainly help people get their energy back and build sustainable habits that can take them through any stage in life with a focus on fitness and nutrition lifestyle. And I work with a variety of people, but I mainly work with women is my main demographic. I work with everybody, but women is my main demographic and my specialty. And typically, they are working moms. They are typically on an executive team, or they've got they're climbing the corporate ladder. They're very driven, ambitious, have a lot to do in life, have a lot they want to do in life, yet they feel that it comes at the expense of their own health. And so I work to reverse that and put their health first and help them prioritize their health first, so that they can be their best in life and in work, have that balance, and be the best that they can be.
I love that, and it really can, go across the board. I think a lot of people, you hear it, you see the trends happening on LinkedIn or just like in my, in the different communities that I am a part of about people just sacrificing their health at like the expense of climbing the corporate ladder, which
Mhm.
is sad. I think it's shifting generationally a little bit, but those who, are specifically like millennial, like top of millennial into Gen Z and even boomers, I've seen that. And you can now, a lot of research has happened. So it's like, oh, we actually have the evidence or the data to tell us like, oh, yeah, it's not just a hearsay. There's like actually a trend. So
Mhm.
I'm really excited to talk about this today and employee well-being in general because it doesn't get talked about as often as it probably should.
Yeah.
And then what are the steps to take to kind of reverse it or
Mm.
navigate or build plans within your own organization that will help design for a better, better behavior, better habits, I guess. Okay, so I'm getting way ahead of myself. I'm just so excited. Let's set the stage here, Ariel. You've worked with a lot of executives and different teams on, you know, common challenges. I guess let's just set the stage. What have you been seeing? What kind of trends have you been seeing? What type of things come up um, around this topic? And, how are you like approaching it and getting started to help these organizations just do better and offer more, I guess?
Sure, I have so much to say about it. Uh, the main issues I hear about and see and tackle, one is confusion. Just we are in an age of the information superhighway,
Mm,
and you can give someone benefits and you can give somebody a resource, but because there is so much information, not just information, conflicting information,
yes.
oftentimes people come to me so confused, right? Like, for example, with diets. Well, this diet says I'm supposed to eat this, and this diet says I'm not supposed to eat the thing that was on this diet. So, and I'm not supposed to eat fruit because it has sugar in it, but I don't know what to do and I can't lose weight. I mean, it's just that's how they come at me. The way I was just sharing
Yeah.
that with you all is how people communicate it to me. And, so that's one of the main challenges I see. The other challenge is support and implementation. And what I mean by that is take, for instance, any of these like short term challenges, 30 days, 60-day,
Mm,
90-day, they're great. But
mm,
what I often see is like, oh yeah, I did that program a long time ago and it worked for me. And then I stopped and then I lost all my results. So that's a common problem is like what
mm,
happens when the support ends? Well, I'll tell you, you haven't built the foundation of habits that's going to sustain you once that support leaves you.
mm,
And or you're relying too much on somebody writing your exact meal plan out for you or your exact fitness plan for you. It does work and it works for some people to keep going that way, but for most of us it doesn't because life gets in the way, challenges get in the way. The society we live in is so fast paced that that's when people are like, nope, I got to put myself on the back burner. And guess what? I'll just wait until my schedule frees up and then I can start working out again. And do you think
Guilty.
that that happens? The schedule lightening up?
I
Anybody in the
know.
chat?
I know. I'm like, yes, please comment. I can't be the only one who's like, that's me. Like I totally am at fault.
Yeah, and it's not your fault. And I think that that's the thing people need to recognize too is that things have shifted in society. The demands have shifted, the information superhighway has shifted, the
Hmm.
access has shifted, uh, and we don't know what to do with it. It's too much. And so one of the things I do is I help bring people back to themselves. The other thing that kind of ties this all together is realigning their goals with what time and capacity they actually have. What happens
Hmm.
is people are like, "Oh yeah, and when I was 25, I did this workout in the morning, then I went to work and then I did this at lunch and then I got done with work and then I went to this thing and that's great. And if you're in your 20s, kudos, I applaud you. But as we get older and we gain more responsibilities, as we climb that corporate ladder, as we get higher positions, the demand increases. And then as that goes up, ourselves get pushed down
Hmm.
further and further and further until we get to some type of catastrophe down here,
Hmm.
whether it's a mental breakdown or some type of burnout, right? We're talking about burnout, like I just can't do it anymore.
Hmm.
A chronic condition develops, they start getting sick. I mean, these things will start to pop up and people don't know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, now I have these health benefits and I know I'm supposed to go to the gym and I know I'm supposed to eat well, but I don't know what to do. And so it's just that's the cycle that we're in.
Yes. Uh, well described. I think that really helps set the stage of just like, I think, and it's probably resonating with, I mean, it's resonating with me. It's probably resonating with a lot on this call around just like, hey, that is just that's what's happening. And your employees are feeling that. And that means, like you said, burnout, um, a mental breakdown, like a lot of the outputs then impact their work.
Mhm.
So Why do you think that so many, like, so of course we all want to do something like HR, business leaders, it's like, okay, yeah, how can we better support our employees? Why do you think so many wellness programs go unused? Like there, it's not for a lack of like good intentions for wanting to support their employees, knowing that this is the stage at any, you know, any time an employee is going through something like this. If
Mhm.
I like what you said, if they haven't realigned their goals to their capacity, yeah, why do you think so many wellness programs are going unused? If
Well, yes, I agree with all that you said. I think the intention is there. And again, we're dealing with things that like may have worked in the past, but are not translating into utilization now. I believe some of the research I've done has pointed towards something like a 33% average utilization rate on benefits. So
yeah,
what's happening to the other 77% of the money that the company is spending on these benefits that are going unused? And so a few things
hmm,
are happening based on what I observe. One is the confusion that we talked about. And then the other is variables. I think people don't consider the fact that we're not all the same and we don't want to all do the same thing, right? And we also
that's
don't have the same needs. And,
yeah,
you know, so what that really means is there needs to be some level of customization. How can you
mm,
get some customization in there so that, you know, everyone can feel like the benefits are for them? Because a lot of times it feels like the
hmm,
benefits is for everybody, and then it's like, this is great, but like I'm still not like feeling great. I'm still not losing the 20 pounds I know I need to lose. Like, what am I doing wrong, or
hmm.
there's comparison going on. Oh my God, there's so many things. So there's comparison to other people that they're working with.
Hmm,
Susie does marathons on the weekends and or is training for marathons. She is like super fit. She's amazing. She is like a high performer at work. And then, Kate over here is like, I'm struggling to just get my foot out the door to go on a walk. And then you have
hmm,
all the people in between.
hmm.
And so when you provide somebody with, like, say, a gym membership, that's awesome. But what name did I use? Susie?
Susie,
Susie over
yeah.
here is going to use that gym to her heart's content. But Kate over here is intimidated by the gym. She doesn't want to go to the gym. She's doesn't feel comfortable working out in front of other people. Maybe she wants like a smaller boutique type setting, or maybe she wants to
Hmm,
learn how to work out in a place that you feel on display. Like she needs some extra support. Uh,
hmm.
and so that's just one example,
Yeah.
if that makes
Like,
any sense.
yeah, I like that. And I think it's really hard for, a lot of other clients we work with are in that same scenario of like they have such a diverse workforce. So, there's a great intention to try to create a plan that's going to fit everybody's needs. But yeah, what do you do when you have such a wide spectrum?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so I'm curious, like, in your you know, not that you're going to disclose information about past clients, but have you seen this before? And like, what are like some of the, like, what does it actually take for someone to, you know, essentially set up alternative options or, options that scale this wide, diverse set of needs? Like, what
Oh,
have you seen work or like
that's a
even
really
it?
good question. Uh, well, what I see really working is some type of individual support that can and guidance. So I guess to give you an example, when I work with a company, uh, we can structure it in a variety of ways. Workshops, a workshop series that people can kind of listen to on their own, plus say some what I call office hours where people can come and talk to me on an individual basis and really tackle that their specific challenge and then I can look at it and say, oh, well, this is how you can use this membership and this is how we're
Hmm,
going to create a plan for you. So it's helping them create a plan that incorporates and implements the resources that they have available. uh,
oh, I like that.
I mean, that's just the space I'm in. So as a health coach myself, that's what I've
Yeah.
been doing. But
Hmm.
there are other ways. to do that. You know, but I do think there is a level of individualization that needs to happen. Uh,
Mm,
and from a financial standpoint on the company, like spending that capital on individual some form of that
mm-hmm,
can make huge long-term benefits so that that employee one is the retention rates are higher, they're more productive, less sick days, uh, happier at work, more collaborative, better focused,
mm-hmm.
just from like a 30-minute conversation.
Wow.
It can go a
Like,
really long way. Just getting like a couple of tips that somebody can work on for a couple of months. And then you go back and you're like, how'd that go for you? And they're like, oh my God, I'm doing it. And now you can take them a step
interesting.
further. That's
Yeah.
that's what's going to be motivating for people. I
Oh,
think
that's,
everyone feels like lost and in like a
mm-hmm.
sea of people. And I think we need to bring it back to human connection, to be honest.
I really appreciate that because it sounds it's just super clear. It's like taking that level of customization on a plan. You can't just throw the blanket and be like, "Hey, this is for everybody." It's like, "Yes, and let's go one layer deeper," it sounds like, and let's look at the customization for each person because yes, the blanket could be warm for everybody, but like it's going to look a little different for each individual. And
Yeah.
taking the time to do that to like I guess maybe create the behavior that they will
Yeah.
then use those benefits or follow the plan as what's
Yeah.
available for them. Is that kind of like the layer that's disconnecting?
Yes, and I will add on to that. One of the phrases I use is we've all heard about, implementing habits and creating new habits. But one of the things that gets overlooked is that you want a habit, a habit is sticking when it's automatic. So I like to use that word automatic.
Oh,
And when I say automatic, it means that it
that's
doesn't
good.
matter how tired you are, it doesn't
That's
matter
good.
what you have going on in your life. Like you're like, "No, I do this thing. I do
Okay.
this walk." And there's flexibility around that. But
Uh-huh.
no, I do this thing regardless of how I feel in, in
Yes.
you know what I'm saying? Like obviously if you're
Yes.
sick, you're not going to do that.
You're right.
But if you're like needing to rest, yes, you rest. What I'm saying is like a daily ritual. Like if it is not automatic, the minute a challenge comes up, you're going to slide back into, oh, well, I'll just wait until this passes, or I'll wait until this happens, or I'll wait until,
Hmm.
you can just fill in the blank, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's I think one of the main gaps.
Okay. How do you help your clients like kind of make that habit automatic? Is there like a framework that you like to use? Is that a secret? Is it your secret sauce you can't share? No. We need to
You
book
know,
time with you to know, but I'm just curious, like any like because you're absolutely right. Like, from a business perspective and HR perspective, they're like, yes, we have all these great benefits. We want people to use them even if you layer in that customization of like, okay, and you're talking to me, you're like, Anna, you need to do this, this, and this. Like, how would I go about making like those habits more automatic?
yeah, you said it yourself, frameworks. And what a framework is, so I have a few frameworks that are my main strategies for people. And what a framework does is it gives you basically a loose outline of what you're supposed to follow, but there's flexibility within the framework. So, things do come up. So, you have to account for some flexibility. And so what that does is that helps people escape the rigidity and strictness of what they think
Oh.
a diet is and what it's supposed to do for them and their fitness program.
Hmm.
There's a lack of flexibility, and so the minute somebody has to veer off of that plan that they were given, they feel like a failure. They feel like they're falling off the
Hmm.
wagon. We all know that phrase. I don't like that phrase anymore. I need something different. Uh, I like to say, pull your wagon to the side of the road and then get back on, so
Oh, hey, I
you're never
like that.
falling off. You're just
Yeah.
readjusting, realigning. You always have to be what I call assessing. I have this strategy that I've coined AIP, and it just stands for assess, implement, and practice. And what that means is
Oh, I
you're
like that.
always performing some type of assessment on yourself.
Yeah.
What, whether it's daily or weekly or monthly or longer term, you're like, okay,
Hmm.
well, how much time do I have this week? How did it feel last week? Is this
Hmm.
working? What is working? What isn't working?
Hmm.
Okay, I'm logging my food and I'm noticing this. It's not good or bad. You're gaining information and data so that then you can then implement a new change or a new habit that you're then going to practice. And why I
I like
love the
that.
word practice is that, and I came up with this idea too one day when I was in yoga, and I was having one of those days where I was like not I wasn't feeling my best. I was like, "Ugh, like this just feels I was bashing myself, right?"
Mm.
And the instructor at the end, she offered her, lovely positive words, and she said, "You guys had a great practice today." And she started talking about practice, and I said, "Aha, we are
Mm.
a practice. We're always practicing to make ourselves better, to make ourselves feel better. It's
Mm.
okay if something goes wrong or one day is better than the other." And we oftentimes put way too much pressure on ourselves. I am definitely uh, a culprit of that. And when you term something a practice, you're allowing yourself to make mistakes. You're allowing yourself to treat it more as like an experiment. Like, let's try
Mm.
this and let's see what comes of it. Oh, I like this. I'm going to keep practicing this. This is working for me.
I
So
like that.
there's that flexibility, right? And
Hmm.
I think we've grown up, at least I did, as an athlete and a dancer, just with pure rigidity. And if
Mm.
you broke any of that, you were just worthless. That's how it
Wow.
felt.
That's heavy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's what I love about this framework or, you know, really any frameworks just help kind of alleviate that stress of like, it's got to be perfect. It's like,
Mhm.
it's guiding. Like this framework, and this feels very guiding, assessing, implement, practice. I get that
Yes.
right? Yeah, I really
Yes.
like that because you're right. We do put a lot of pressure on ourselves. I think as whatever role you have inside work and outside of work. Um, and so giving your kind of yourself freedom to try new things and call it practice.
Hmm.
I mean, you think about athletes, like I saw I think it was a documentary, the Michael Jordan documentary. I grew up in the
Hmm.
80s, so like
Hmm.
Michael Jordan was the king of
Yeah.
basketball, but it was just interesting how he was talk. He said something like, I missed more free throws than I made them.
Mhm.
And it was just like, I mean, we think about him being one of the greatest basketball players of all time, or he's at least up there. And I was just like, oh, that's so interesting because,
Mhm.
you know, he didn't make all his shots. Like I think growing up, I had this even in my mind of like, oh, he's perfect at it. He's the greatest
Mhm.
basketball player. No, he still missed shots too, and that's why you practice
Yeah.
because sometimes you're gonna miss them and sometimes you're gonna make them and that's okay. I think yeah, I really like that.
Yeah.
And for well-being, like, finding out what works, sometimes it's not gonna be like I tried yoga once and I wasn't very good at it.
You
But
did.
I tried yoga, yeah, and
Okay.
I didn't think I wasn't very good at it. And I was like, okay, maybe this isn't for me. But that's okay because, according to this framework,
Hmm.
you just try it and it gives you that element of like, is this going to work for me or not?
Yeah.
Um,
And you practice it again. Maybe you practice a different type of yoga. Maybe that
yes,
one's better.
yes.
And I'll tell you all a secret. I actually there was a period where I hated yoga. I mean, I
Yeah.
thoroughly disliked it. I mean, with a passion. And this was when I lived in New York City. I lived there for 14 years. I was a professional dancer. I was just on the go all the time. And yoga was too slow for me. I was like, I can't, this is just
Oh,
breathing and moving.
interesting.
No, I
Yeah.
just want to be dancing. Just give me
Just
choreography.
move and yeah.
I don't want to be here. It was at a point in my life too where I didn't really like being in a hot room. I wasn't there, and it wasn't working for me.
Yeah.
um, and I had friends that loved it. I had friends that became yoga instructors. I became a personal trainer, but I was like, no,
Oh.
yoga, can't do it. I also, there were like poses and things in there that I was like, why can't I do that? I'm a dancer. I'm supposed to be flexible. Why can't I do that? And I
Yeah.
became very judgy on myself,
Uh-huh.
which is totally not the point.
Right.
You know this. And so one of the catalysts in my life was getting a really bad hip injury, and I had to have surgery, and
Wow.
prognosis was good and it went really well, but like a lot of things changed in my life after that, like how much I beat up my body and learning to listen to my body and the recovery time and what I could do versus not do.
Wow.
My value tied to my physical being, and how I questioned it, and like, what do I have to offer the world if I can't like dance and like perform? Like, what do I do? So
Mm-hmm.
identity crisis, number one.
Yeah.
And yoga, I started doing yoga at that point in my recovery because it was one of the only things I could do.
Huh.
And I just had a totally different perspective. I was like, okay, I got to take it easy. I can't push myself. Like all these things that I didn't know how to do.
New
Like,
chapter. Yeah, new
yoga is
chapter
teaching
for
me
you.
this now. And the rest was history. And now I actually really love yoga. And I don't think I'm wonderful at it. I still go into those classes and people are doing crow pose and all these
Ah,
crazy things. And I'm like, maybe one day.
yeah.
But you know what? I just sometimes sit in child's pose, and the instructor says that's okay. So I say, okay, you go do that
Hey.
crazy handstand thingy.
Yeah.
I'm just going to stretch here and breathe. And I can't wait for Shavasana, you know?
Oh, that's a
Give
great
it another
story.
try. Give it
That's
another
a good story. Because, well, it's true. Like, sometimes even if you were like really good at, some days you're just not going to do all of it.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, back to assessing where you're at and what you need. Okay, so okay, we set the stage. We all understand the problems and what HR leaders are up against. Us as individuals are up against because we're also fighting it. I don't think a lot of employees, and I'll put my employee hat on for a second. I don't expect HR to like come up with all these specific ways to help me understand and use my benefits, but I know that that's important. And so, what's kind of your recommendation or what have you seen work in the past of like how companies can, you know, move beyond just offering discounts or stipends or different programs and offer real support that actually helps employees make a change and practice more often?
Yeah. I think some type of longer term option. I have seen a shift in what HR leaders and employees are offering in terms of mental health. And
Okay.
I think that's really great because, like, I was talking to this one company not too long ago, and he was really proud of how they really offer a lot of support for mental health for their employees. Resource, and I think that's the thing that HR people can do is have a list of those resources of those people, curate a list of coaches, practitioners,
Mhm.
the ones who can be more hands-on. And then that way, of course it's not your job to tell them how to implement those things. That really isn't your responsibility. But I think providing those resources in a more curated fashion can also really help take away the overwhelm and confusion for people. Like, when it comes to like maybe you can categorize it. I'm kind of going off on an idea here, but
Yeah.
maybe some type of categorization where, you know, okay, we've already got the people that we know use this stuff. Okay, we're not really going to worry too much about them, But then
Mm,
you've got kind of the people in the middle. Okay, well, we have these options for you, but now um, we've got a list of practitioners who we've maybe vetted. So that's another thing you can do. You can vet certain professionals. And then
right.
that way, when you hand out this list, you guys know there's no question about, are they going to help me or not? So I
Yeah,
think
are
those,
they
those are,
good? Yeah, are they
yeah, are
legit?
they
Yeah, I
good?
like that. Mm,
And people mesh with different personalities. So I
yeah.
think it's really good to have different options. Like not everyone's going to mesh with me, and that's okay. I don't take it personally. Also, men and women are very different, so
Mm,
there's that to account for.
mm-hmm,
Uh, you know, I think when we're talking about any type of health, whether it's mental health or physical health, it's actually quite personal. And people don't
mm,
take that into consideration, which is why this whole generalizing the offers is lacking, is because how often are you talking to your colleague about how crappy you feel? Like maybe
mm,
some drama, I don't know, it depends on how close you are with somebody, but like
mm-hmm.
how often are you telling them how you really feel about your body and what you like and don't like and what's working and then what's not working and why
Yeah.
you feel like crap? Like who are you telling that to? So it's a
Mm,
very personal thing, kind of like mental health. If someone's struggling mentally, they need that therapist or psychologist to offer a safe space where they can really just unload and then
mm-hmm.
get some advice on what the next steps are.
I like that. So curating a list of resources just cuts that step down
Hmm.
for employees. It makes it faster for them to be like, oh, I know exactly here's my options.
Yep.
I'm going to pick wherever the specialty is, and move on.
Hmm.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Because again, it's taking the offers or the options, the programs, and giving it one step further for those who need it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I like that.
Same
So,
with same with
yeah.
that can apply to all these different apps and online offerings too. So, whether it's an in-person option or
Oh, yeah.
an online option, to have those differentiated now, because again,
Uh-huh.
there's just too many options. So
Seriously, too many
just
options.
chunk it down, because again, people's time is limited, and I think just that step will help employees feel so much more supported.
Yeah. Have you seen, it's kind of hard. Like it really depends on the company and how diverse their employee base is. But have you seen certain things work in evaluating like what options or programs should be given to employees to help them with their well-being? Have you seen
Uh,
any like trends? And I know I don't want it to make that cookie cutter like question, but like I am curious, like, yeah, if you've seen trends on that.
I have. I think that's a really great question. It's a broad question. But what I've seen work the best is kind of apparently it's like a marketing tool that people use, is test your market, ask your
Oh, yeah.
employees, provide surveys on and pretty
What?
detailed surveys, of course, things that won't take maybe an hour, but
Yeah.
framing it in a way of like, we really want to provide uh, wellness benefits that you will use. We want you to use them. What is it that you are looking for? What is it that you need? What do you like? What do you not like? Like, get granular in those questions. And I
Hmm.
feel like people will tell you, and then you can go from there. So I think surveys can be a very useful tool.
Yeah. Yeah, we use a lot of surveys for just that, to try to
Okay.
identify because I think, you mentioned something earlier of just like, HR and businesses, they spend a lot of money to invest in
Mhm.
these programs and you want it to use it. And, you were saying that 30/70 split,
Mhm.
like 30% in that scenario, it's not going to fit for everybody's needs, but surveys often can help uncover some of that.
Yeah.
Um, well, okay, so if companies are investing a lot in wellness, How does HR ensure those dollars are actually turning into real outcomes? I think that's one of our
Mhm.
challenges. Like as we guide clients through, like here's some options to like provide X, Y, and Z based on the survey data. Here's some options. I'm
Right.
curious, like what have you seen, or what you would advise HR leaders on, or how to measure that, or what have you seen worked to measure that in the past?
Yeah, so I've actually utilized just that in I'll approach a company and you know I'll let them tell me what metrics they use to measure their productivity.
Oh,
Some
yeah.
companies have a vast answer, and other companies have one or two things.
Okay.
Uh, but measuring productivity, right? Like, how do you as a company measure the productivity level of your employees? So there's like that metric. You also have, sick days, and you also have retention rates. I know retention rates is actually a big one.
Yeah.
A couple of companies I spoke to said
Ugh,
one of our goals is to retain as many employees as possible because you lose money every time you onboard a new person, uh,
that's
and
significant.
a significant amount.
Yeah.
And then if they leave after a short period of time, that's a loss. So how do you measure that, right? How do you measure the change in retention rates, productivity rates? Um, Let me see if I can offer an example for productivity. I guess I'll use sales teams as an example because it's pretty
Yeah.
easy, right?
Okay.
So sales teams and companies have numbers they have to reach, right?
Hmm.
They're oftentimes they might be making money off commissions as well, and so they're always aiming for numbers. And one company I worked with, we actually measured their productivity in the amount of sales. And I took a small group. This was actually part of my beta test. So I took a small group of a sales team, and we had a control group and we had a test group, and we measured them against each other. They didn't know that.
I
Um,
love this.
but it was a way for the company to see, okay, this is the team that worked with Ariel more individually and got kind of a more hands-on approach, and this is the group that uh, didn't.
Oh,
And the numbers were really interesting. And I mean, you always have it within those teams, and I might be stop me if I'm like getting off track and if
no, this is fascinating because I think this is a good example of like why it's so important to take the time to evaluate not just offering the programs, but like getting your return and investment, so to
right,
speak. Yeah.
ROI. So you always have like your top performers, and you always have, the performers at the bottom who have some ways to go. There's always just those people, right?
Yep.
So usually you kind of take the top performers and kind of put them in their own group because, you're not going to see much difference there. So you really want to
Mm-hmm.
take this like middle chunk of people.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and the numbers were astonishing after putting this one group through a 2-month program that I implemented. There was like a 20%, between 18 to 20% increase in their sales numbers. It
Wow.
was pretty significant.
That is very significant.
Why? They felt better. So let's start from basic. Okay, they were moving their body more. So they were less sedentary. They were starting to cut out the junk food. So they just decreased the amount of junk food that they were consuming on a daily basis. The other thing too is a lot of times people in sales are on the phone a lot, so they're sedentary a lot of the day.
Yeah. Yep.
So it was another reason why this group was really important. And so they started feeling uh, just more energized at times in the day that they would normally have a slump. So the
Oh.
most sales actually dropped off like kind of after lunch into the evening,
Yeah.
that latter part of the day.
Yeah, I could
We
see
all
it.
know that, right?
Yeah.
The energy
Yeah.
slump, it happens.
Yeah.
Your brain starts getting tired, all that stuff. And it was really interesting that their numbers had increased during that time period in the day. So
Oh, so
basically, what it
not,
showed
oh,
was
interesting.
they were feeling better. They didn't have an energy slump because they weren't eating like a heavy lunch. They were eating more salads. They were working in some type of movement more, whether it was a daily walk or maybe some intense exercise. There was a movement portion. And it wasn't so drastic that these people couldn't stick with it. Uh,
Hmm.
and they're starting to uh, their mental focus. That's what I wanted to say. Their mental focus is improving too, because when you start to feel better, you're more energized, your body's working better, you're metabolizing
Hmm.
food better, you're gaining some muscle strength. So that's our metabolic machine. So now you're burning calories while you're sitting down, type thing, at a better rate.
Mm-hmm.
And now your mental focus, you're more clear. So now you're on fire. You're making those sales. You're like closing deals.
Yeah,
You're doing
you
all
feel
the things.
better.
You're feeling good and you're motivated.
Hmm.
And it just, that's the snowball effect. And then actually, I have a little diagram here that I'm working on, like
Oh my
creating
gosh, I
like
love
a
it.
thing is
Yes.
it's the ripple effect. So imagine like a bullseye point and then
Uh-huh.
ripples one circle and then another circle.
Oh.
So you start with the center, which is you, and now you're starting to feel better. And now your impact is that now your mental focus starts to get better, right? You're starting to like
Mm-hmm.
mental focus, you're starting to feel a bit more energy, you're a little happier,
Hmm.
and then that takes you to the next ripple, and now you're making better decisions, you're making them faster, you're not
Hmm.
lingering on things, your brain is firing better.
Hmm.
Then the next level up, the next ripple is your productivity now is changing, you're getting more efficient at all of these
Hmm.
things. And then what does that do? The next ripple is success, right? You're contributing to the success of the company, the team,
Hmm.
the bottom line, everybody wins.
Oh, I
So
like
that's
that.
sort of the direction of everything.
I just drew that out for myself, by the way.
Yay!
I'm gonna put it on the sticky.
Here,
Um,
I'll show everybody. See, this is my
Oh,
note.
I love it. Yes, see, exactly. But that's such a great visual. It's tangible to what you're talking about. That helps just put it into perspective for people of like, oh, yeah, it's not just this one thing you're measuring. I mean, from a business perspective, yes, you're looking at retention, productivity, et cetera. But I think for HR and for business leaders who are talking about the programs and the outputs of these programs, a visual like that's really nice because it's like to sometimes you have to like bring leadership on board because this might be an extra expense or an
Mhm.
additional expense or just continue the expense of like where that impact can happen, where the results can happen when done right.
Yeah. I can make this look pretty for you. I can send it to you and then you can
Oh
share
my gosh, yes. Well, I think we should write a blog after this
it.
from
Okay.
our chat because I mean, between a lot of these different quotes, the AIP framework.
Yes.
This bullseye, I think everybody online who's still with us, yeah, we'll post this out. So,
Cool.
um, yeah, because that's really interesting. Sometimes I think there is an element of you know, for this scenario, you took a sales team, you split them up, you actually measured key factors, and then these individuals actually made a difference in their own personal lives. See, this is what's interesting to me, and maybe not so much the business, but like when you are better, the center, yeah, you're getting better at work, and that's really great for this example. But just think of like what a better person they are showing up in their personal lives
Absolutely.
and with families and relationships, like it all ripples in that way as well, not just for the
Absolutely.
business and success for the business, though that is why we're here and talking about that. I think the thing that's good for me is to see the individual just change
Yeah.
and get better
Yeah.
personally. So okay. All right, so I love those ROI, those metrics to truly measure outcomes. And I would say like, when you meet with companies, like, you know, taking the time to do it. Like, how did you help people get on board with taking the time to actually do a test like this because in theory, I'm like, that's cool. But in practice, I'm like, that takes time. I mean, I'm sure you had to like, meet with the leadership team and or the HR team and be like, okay, this, laying out the plan. I don't know, any key takeaways there for HR leaders who are listening to like maybe how they would approach
Yeah, I
tests
mean,
like
it
that.
wasn't easy. I'm going to be honest. And I think the space I work in, I was sharing this with a colleague of mine, like people don't really know what they don't know, So,
That's
it's like,
very true.
yeah, I had to put together a presentation and I do have a presentation deck and, a lot of diagrams and but I think once people see the steps and like
Mm,
it's really outlined for them and then they see how much time it actually saves them in the end, that those are usually the people that jump
mm,
on board. And it sounds complicated, but
hmm
there are steps like as in anything. You start with
hmm
we'll start with like a wellness benefits audit, right? Like what do you offer? Okay, well, I will take them at this list that you have, and I will see what you have. And maybe I meet with you. Maybe I meet with like the HR leader. I'm not meeting with the CEO yet, right? So how do we preserve the 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 time that people need to do their work and how do we make the most use of it, right? So it's meeting with the
mm,
people in their company strategically. I think
mm,
that was one thing, which is I think why I'm so grateful to be here talking to HR leaders because you are the people I mean, you guys really drive drive the ship in that department in a lot of
absolutely.
ways. And I'm so appreciative of that. And I love having these conversations with you. So that's an invitation for anybody listening. I'm happy to talk to you and
Love
do
it.
a benefits audit. Right.
Okay.
So kind of we start there and then there's, depending on the company, I have to structure it maybe slightly different, but there's a visual, there's a slide, and they see the
Okay.
steps and they're like, okay, after this, then we do this, and then after 30 days, we reevaluate. So, I mean, the time spent could be, and yes, putting together some surveys and
hmm
gathering that information. Maybe that's time capped, right?
hmm
Uh, then there's, okay, after this period of time, what are we going to do in that period of time? I'll help structure that out. Whether that's just workshop series or it's a combination of things, you get to decide. So, I think it sounds like it's really time consuming, but it actually really isn't. Once you have these metrics in place and you have the surveys in place, it runs pretty smoothly and you get a lot of information from it. So
Oh, I like
it's
that.
hugely beneficial at the
hmm
end of either 2 months. I usually work with people for a minimum of 6 months. So usually at that 6 month
Mm,
mark is like a reevaluation, like how did we do? How's everybody doing? And
hmm
oftentimes people will then sign on for longer because they're like, oh, this is working. And actually, let's move this to a different team and let's try this. And
mm,
so companies can start small. They can start with like one team. They can start with one group and then go to another group. Uh, and that's the
mm,
great thing too about say an offering like mine. I have a digital offering as well, and it's evergreen. So whoever jumps on board, whatever time they jump on board, there's a community available. You can make it
oh,
company
very cool.
community only.
hmm
So there's so many ways to make it super efficient. And I mean, I'm
hmm
all about that. So
Yes. Well, and that's one
let's
of
do it.
your ripples. You're more
Yes.
efficient.
Yes.
I am big on efficiency. I think that's, yeah, there's no reason to do something if it's, yeah, if it can't be efficient and create some kind of output. Um, but I liked the setup there of the expectation around 6 months. I think sometimes we abandon um, things. We're like, ah, it's not working after a few months because adoption takes a while. Like I'm thinking about some of the clients we have where we roll out a new wellness program, whether it's like a 30-day challenge or, it's a partner that we have that helps, give access to gym memberships or something like that. And we see it takes time to adopt.
Yes.
And then like back to, one of your original points of making a habit automatic. That takes time too. And hopefully because we work in annual cycles
Hmm.
for employee benefits, sometimes it takes like a full year. So not to quickly abandon, certain things.
Yeah.
If you were talking to an HR leader, well, you still are, you're still talking to all of us. What would you say, like, if you, I guess, kind of as a wrap up here, because I know we're running out of time, and maybe we'll have you on again because
Oh,
we can do a part two.
I
Um,
love
what
that.
would you say, like, okay, they have, certain wellness programs or they have certain things going on. They're trying to give employees really great offerings for them to change and be better without launching a whole new program. Like what would be like one little thing they could try today to, like, I don't know, r- restart, um, or
Are you talking
re-engage
about
their
just,
employees.
are you talking about HR leaders for
Yeah,
the company?
what supportive, like what could they do today just to kind of, like, I don't know, make some changes or without rolling out a whole new program. Okay, like the scenario is I'm an HR leader, I have several programs today, but it's like how can I, like, make better use of them? Or how can I, like, communicate better value of the offerings without having to, like, do a bunch of other stuff? Like maybe it's not time to run a survey yet or do an
Yeah.
audit or, something like that. It's just like quick a quick win they could try.
Yeah. I mean, I would say one suggestion that comes to mind, let me see if I can put this into words. I sometimes have complicated ideas. Uh, Something that comes to mind is like, I don't know, implementing some type of like weekly wellness tip that you can email your team, like, and just, or your
Oh,
company,
yeah.
be like, here are the wellness tips of the week. And it can be super simple. Like, did you walk today or walk 3 times this week? You can walk with a girlfriend or a friend, or do something
Uh-huh.
outside. Make sure you guys get outside this week if the weather is still nice. I know you are in Salt Lake City, so I'm sure the weather's
Oops.
changing.
It is, but today's so nice. So yes, I think I'm going to
Okay.
do that.
Good. Grab a friend. Go for a
Yeah.
walk. Um, Maybe encourage people to do walking meetings. Oh, hey, you guys have meetings this week.
Oh,
Why
I
don't you take
like
it outside?
that.
Why don't you go for a quick little walk
Yes. Take
instead
a
of grab lunch?
one-on-one.
Okay, lunch is
Yes.
great. We all do lunch meetings, but how can we switch it up? How can we, like, why don't you go grab a smoothie and go for a walk and have your meeting on a walk? I
Oh, I like
love
that.
doing I call them walk and talks. Actually, oh, my
Walk and
son's
talks. I
school does
like
walk and talk, and so I
I
took it.
like that.
So walk and talk, do a
Especially
walk and talk
for, yeah,
meeting.
remote meeting or remote
Um,
teams. Like, yeah, go outside.
Something I will say, depending on the company where you're at, but I would say the snacks that are offered, you guys can have a really quick win there by offering some healthier alternatives to some of the often uh, the foods that are often put out. Um, and I can put together a list for you. I have a
Oh,
list,
yes. Well, let's
but
put it in our post
yeah, I could
together.
share with you that list. But instead of sugary snacks and you know donuts being brought to the office, yes, those treats are fine. I'm all for indulgences and treats, and I have a whole thing about managing
But
your indulgences.
once.
I'm all for it. But I've seen some of these companies like kitchens, and I'm like, I don't know if
Hey,
that's
yeah.
great to be grabbing. But it's out of sight, out of mind. People get
Yes,
stressed. They have habits, right? So how
that's
can you
true.
guys as a company invest in providing some better snacks and foods? That's what
That's a great tip. I think it's that consistency too of, you know, like you said, out of sight, out of mind. Sometimes people don't know what they don't know, but just like engaging in a way that where you're leaving a tip. I love the weekly tip idea. Then it's
Yeah.
just like a regular routine of, like, oh yeah, I need to remember that, or I need to do X, Y, and Z, and not maybe once a month. because I've seen that and it's like you totally forget it.
Forgotten.
You
Yeah, I
definitely
think
like
it's
take
like
care of
it's so
yourself and you're like,
great
oh,
on
I
like
forgot about that.
a Monday morning when you come into the office and you're checking some emails, right? That's like the first thing people do is check their emails, and then they see, Anna's lovely wellness tip for the week. I think it can
Yeah,
really set people up right. And yeah, it's they need to be people need to be reminded. People
it's
forget
true.
you got a lot going on.
You have a lot going on, but
Mhm.
even more to take care of yourself.
Yes.
And then so having that, yeah, opportunity to reinforce the wellness programs that you do offer with other weekly tips to just keep it top of mind
Yeah.
and give people permission they can take care of themselves. I
Yeah.
think I think back to your original confusion at the beginning of setting the stage of like people are so confused. It's like I don't know what to do, and it's like well, actually, just this these couple things first.
Yeah.
These little things actually create bigger automatic habits. So
Yeah. And I think it's important to know that the people that work for you want the, I mean, unless it's like a really terrible job that you really don't want. But like I think oftentimes what I hear is that people really like what they're doing and they want to perform well. They want to be motivated. And
yeah,
how can you support them in that
yeah, exactly.
with
Well,
their
you've given us some really good insight. I do hope you come back. I'm excited for us to do a co-author blog. We'll post this on our website. So if you didn't have a chance to listen to the whole thing, or you want to listen again or share with a friend, we'll send that out. But Ariel, it's been amazing to have you. It's been a fun
thank you.
conversation. I've learned a lot. I'm going to realign my goals with my capacity right
Good. I
now.
love that. I love that you were
Right
taking
now.
notes. I love
I
that
took
you wrote
I
down
took so many notes. I'm like,
AIP.
yes, okay, I need to do this. Um, so okay, well, thank you. If
Thank you.
you, for
Yeah.
those of you still on, if you haven't joined our community, you can continue the chat there. Ariel, if you want to join us at our
Sure.
in our community, Change Agents, it's Nava's HR community, just where people, HR pros go to talk and swap tips and tricks and continue to have conversations about wellness programs. So
Love it.
please go there and register if you're not a part of that. Thanks for joining us. So glad you were
Thank
here, and we hope you join us next time. Thanks all.